Rajim. Bismillah. Rahim. My name is Mr. Sharia. This is my contact information. Research publishing media at gmail.com. This is an association with Dr. Tutor. We're talking about math, analysis, math, so difficult. It makes life easy. Math so difficult, it makes life easy. Seek. This is in Matthew's chapter 6. This is verse 33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and then all things will be added unto you. Allah grant me the strength to suffer the things I cannot change, and Allah grant me the strength to change the things that I can change. Okay, so we're going to talk about math analysis. I believe this is lecture number 3. It's so much to speak on. We have so much going on. Let me see how I want to do this. We're talking about the Black Business School. The Black Business School. We have a brother named Dr. Boyce. Dr. Boyce Watkins. Now, I'm not picking on him. He's just going to be the focal point, probably as long as I speak. So I don't want to make it seem like, it's him. But, right now, if he was a certain type of math, he would be what we're studying for the next couple of weeks. And always understand now, it's not Mr. Watkins, it's not Boyce, it's Doctor. It's Doctor of Finance. Okay, so it's the Black Business School, it's Dr. Boyce Watkins. Just so we know that, I'm going to take this off the board. I also want to, as I was closing out last lecture, it was Muhammad Temple, number 15, and we have Minister Eric Muhammad. Muhammad Temple number 15. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Minister Eric Muhammad. I didn't get it slipped my mind because you talk about vanities and then you speak about what direction we're actually going in. When you read Genesis and when Moses has picked himself up and begins to communicate with God, all of a sudden the storyline in the Bible, it becomes real collapsed. And it's like a group of people. Like if you look at Hollywood and the movies that come out, it's always a group of people moving forward fighting obstacles. So that's really what time it is. But again, we have a scripture that says that if you believe in God and you follow the messengers, Allah will bless you to have paradise as wide as the creation. So this is not a vanity. It is once you understand, right? So we have to understand that they're fighting a war in Europe as we speak right now. They're fighting wars in what they call the Middle East. They have been fighting wars necessarily in what they call Africa. They are just not fighting wars in America how we think, even though America is in severe conflict. We're not even looking at the black population in America. You can look at Caucasian people and how they're, first of all, it's the Democratic Party, it's the Republican Party. So already they let you know they're not together, right? You got to always remember the Civil War. Why was it ever something as the Emancipation Proclamation? And then you got to go to what the Bible says. So seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. We talk about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to put Minister Elijah. And what we have to understand is that when you do speak about the Bible, and this is why I bring this brother in here, because he can actually guide you from when Minister Elijah Muhammad was speaking, and we're trying to get back into, we're not what we're trying to get back into, but to create that, well, it's the information from what Master Farad Muhammad was speaking to us about. So when you say the Bible, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and then you start talking about, well, it's the tribe of Israel, or it's the nations of Jacob. And then you start talking about Judah, the black American, and the black man and black woman in America, that's the tribe of Judah. From the characteristics, how the Bible defines it. Then you got the tribe of Levi. Moses was from the tribe of Benjamin. And Benjamin, or the tribe of, now it's not tribes, right, but it's the nations. The nation of Benjamin is the Haitian Republic. Those people in that, well, not those people, because it's also the Dominican Republic. But the Haitian Republic, or that country Haiti, that's Moses. Jesus is black people in America. Now, the Minister Farrakhan, I don't have him up here, but Minister Farrakhan, Minister Louis Farrakhan. Minister Louis Farrakhan is he's from the nation of Levi. Levi will be a ravenous wolf. Let's actually go to that. Because we're going to get it clear, because the Bible is a prophecy book. And if you don't understand the basics, then you won't see yourself in your glory. Okay, let's say Levi will be a ravenous ravenous wolf. Correct? Let's see what Bible verse that is. Okay, Genesis 29, Genesis chapter 49. You see what I'm saying? That's a devil to get on camera, right? No, brother. Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. Genesis and you know, it's just that, what does the law say? Now always understand, right? when it be people that we be in love with, not someone we love, but people that we be in love with. When you in love with someone, it's the same thing. But Allah say that whatever we have a disagreement about on the day of resurrection, whatever you saying that's not true, you not Muslim, you know what I'm saying, such and such and such and such. But that day, when the day of resurrection comes, everything will be decided. Always understand now, you will not know. Allah says that we use what we think as devices to save us from what Allah is actually saying. No, it's not what you think. It's what God is telling you. Correct? Okay. So, what is it? Genesis. If we say Genesis 49, I believe it was 27. Let's see if that's correct. Is that Benjamin? It might be 29, right? Let's read the full chapter. This is some very good understanding. Now, chapter 49 in the book of Genesis says, this is the first verse, and Jacob, or Yaqub, we want to say Jacob is Kemet, right? But before we say that, let's just understand. And Yaqub called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Correct? Let's read that again. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49. Now, to make a note, remember Jesus said wars and rumors of wars, how to recognize the last days. Now, the last days could be years, it could be tens of years, it could even be hundreds of years. So we could have been dealing with the last days going back to 1555, correct? But let's listen to what Jacob says. And Jacob called unto his sons. Now Jacob come from Isaac. No, Jacob come from, I believe, Isaac. Isaac comes from Abraham. And always understand now, God told Abram, who changed his name to Abraham because of the covenant, and know for a surety, Abram, your seed will be a stranger in a strange land for 400 years. So that could be, right, that's specifically the tribe of Judah. You see how I get confusing now, right? Because it was a straight line, and it's no longer a straight line because your seed, right? So specifically, who was that speaking to? And then you talking about colonialism, and then you talking about, well, it's not really just the tribe of Judah. You got the tribe of Benjamin also, that's like Jamaica and Haiti, going all the way down probably to Brazil. Not Brazil, South America. Okay, so we're going to try to clear that up, but let's just understand first. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Verse 2. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Okay. Okay. So that's a lot of clarity, because verse 2 says, and hear the sons of Jacob, and then it says, and hearken unto Israel. So you got two names there. You even got two types of sentence structures. Now you can't really be specific when you're translating, right? Then we have a devil. We know that the synagogue of Satan, the Jews, at that time, have came in and so we can't really, but it is two separate people. It's Jacob, right? That could be a totally separate person. And then you have Israel, which is the actual 12 nations that we're speaking on. Okay, so now Jacob or Israel, no. Let's see what it says. Let's go again. Okay, he's saying Jacob. But they use Jacob as a spirit in the second verse. So that could be God. God saying, listen, gather yourselves together. So then if we go to, let's go to, okay, I believe it's Levi. If we go to the nation of Levi, is it Jamaica or Trinidad? No, it's Jamaica. Okay, yeah, well, hold on one second. No. Correction. That is correct. Levi, excuse me. The nation of Levi is Haiti, and that's Moses. Okay, let me make sure I understand that. The nation of Levi is the Haitian Republic, and that's Moses. Moses from the Bible is from the nation of Levi. And Jamaica, or the black man and black woman from Jamaica, Minister Louis Farrakhan's mother, I believe, is from Jamaica. Now, you can get Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, like you might can put that up in there, because I'm not all in his business like that. But I mean, I should know that, right? But I know his mother is, I believe, Jamaican or Trinidadian, but she's from that area. So let's listen to what it says. In the last days, these characteristics about these people will come about when you know it's the last days. So this is chapter 49, verse 27 in the book of Genesis. So it's a book, then it's a chapter, then it's a verse. And the verse says, Benjamin shall be a ravenous wolf, or be ravenous as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Now, I mean, I cannot knock that. That's what the Bible says. So again, it's one thing, brothers and sisters, when you don't have no knowledge and you do them characteristics, and it's something separate when the knowledge has already been written and you read what God says about who you are, and then you follow them footsteps. Let me give you an example. Or can I give you an example? I put up here one time, I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I said those were natural numbers But I wasn't calling it natural numbers. Let me give you a separate example. I remember one time again, if you go to the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah was a prophet, and you start reading the prophecies of Isaiah, those verses in that book sound so much like what black Americans go through specifically. And then you come to find out that prophet Isaiah was talking to the nation of Judah. Okay, that's one thing, right? When you don't have no knowledge and God give you revelation and then you see what it is. But it's something separate when you have knowledge and God's telling you, well, this is who you is. Okay, so why do I say that? I say that because this is why I say that. Okay, Minister Louis Farrakhan is not from the tribal nation of Judah. Minister Farrakhan is from the nation of Benjamin. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is from the nation of Judah. This brother right here, Minister Eric Muhammad, he is from the nation of Judah. And it's this brother right here. Let's listen to what Allah said in the last days. Always understand the book of Revelation say they coming to destroy this world. And how are you going to say that? You say, well, you don't believe that. Now what I'm saying is that you can roll that dice, but that's like 1 out of 100 million, right? And again, you know, it's not about arguing. Okay, it's just, well, on the day of resurrection, we'll see. But again, listen to what my brother say, right? Let me see how I'm going to do this. It's so much information. Okay, so my brother, Minister Eric Muhammad, he's down in Atlanta, Muhammad Temple, number 15. Now, this brother got mad knowledge. Now, he's not as knowledgeable as we have a brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. And Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Dr., not Mr. Muhammad, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He has a doctorate in religion. But the thing about learning religion is that you also have to learn the languages. So he can read, I believe, certain texts. Like in India, he knows how to, I believe, read them texts. Okay, so the only other brother, like, okay, we got brothers that know the hieroglyphics. They done been to Kemet. They can give you everything. But Dr. Wesley Muhammad is the only one I know where he know what it is. He know it was Dr. Wesley Muhammad. It's on YouTube. Inshallah, I'm gonna put it. I never got around. When you go to the internet page, www.fatihaduasharia.com, I have something called the Leadership Conference. So you just talking about black men. First of all, if you're a young black man and you looking at Lil Nas X on some type of multi-million viewer platform and he on there pregnant with a dress on, and you a young black man with no finances, living in poverty, that's not no good at all. By design. Just give me a pack of Now and Laters and some free concert tickets as my reparations. So the Leadership Conference, we were taking black men, putting them before young black men and showing them how to be a black man. So that's a video, inshallah, but you know, we got to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's really what it is, the nation of Judah. Now, it's not superiority, it's what it is. Okay, so Dr. Wesley Muhammad said that, he said that God ain't have no color. Like when you go to the Bible, the book of Genesis, it said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. This is a planet for black people. We are all black people. Again, Caucasian people have lost their skin color. But in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, I believe going back to Kemet, Commissions or that history will tell you that God was not color, he was light. Light is truth. When I speak the truth to you, if you are ignorant, that's darkness. Remember the mice and the rats and the cat. That's why the cat is so powerful. Because mice and rats, even though they're created by law, and on some level you might, I don't mess with rats, right? But that's darkness. And then you have that light or that cat. So light, we say in the Quranic scripture, we speak truth to falsehood, illusions. So that truth is that light to shine in that darkness, right? So God was light. Wherever he went, it was darkness, he was light. But as he walked the planet, wherever he went, it was the truth was so powerful that it scorched the earth. So then you have the mercy of Allah. So to stop burning the planet, he clothed himself in black skin. And so that's why you have color. So then you have the brother Master Farad Muhammad. And see the thing about Master Farad Muhammad again, okay, go back to this brother right here, right? So let me get to what I'm saying. Well, how I want to say this. So that's Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Dr. Wesley Muhammad is the nation of Judah. And what I love, right, is when you read the Bible, and after King Solomon, right, well, I think it was like, it transitioned during King Solomon, but then the nations of Judah, they separated. So then you had Judah, that was a nation, and then you had the rest of the tribes. Now I don't think Judah separated. I think Judah ended up being the righteous governing, and then everybody else was doing their own thing. But what has happened is that Minister Farrakhan didn't, I'm not going to say, well, he didn't win. He's still Israel, or he's still Jacob, or he's still Abraham. But when you read the Bible, it's a division. Where's I believe they start saying it's the upper kingdom and the lower kingdom. Now I love that, because this brother, you got to now even though it's not necessarily this, as far as Judah, this brother went and set up his own kingdom. So, like, I couldn't understand, right? And again, like, it's not that it's a conflict. I mean, I love this. I mean, well, I can't say I love him, like, because I don't necessarily know him, but I love, like, when he starts speaking about God. Like, I just love that. I love this brother, right? But now, you know, we don't know what type of moves he making. That's because this is the tribe of Benjamin, right? That's not that he totally separate. No, that's totally separate. But look, he got his own kingdom. And see, it's your mindset. If you go up in here talking about you Judah, no, that's going to be a conflict. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is Judah. This brother right here is Benjamin. But he learned from Judah, because what does Judah say? I want to stay focused on this brother, because he gave me some what did he say? He just got that knowledge, right? Like, so I was making a comparison between Dr. Wesley Muhammad and Minister Eric Muhammad. Minister Eric Muhammad, he got knowledge about, really, when you start talking about waking up, like when you talk about Samaria, India, and the Commissions, like, he know all that. Now, I'm not saying he's a doctor at it, but he gonna give you that knowledge. Like, he got antiquity knowledge. The only other person I've seen that has that knowledge, that's I'm not gonna say above, but Dr. Wesley Muhammad is tight. Like, he know everything. It's Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Okay, so what was I trying to make the comparison on? I lost that thought. It was something real good to give you a characteristic about this brother, but I'm gonna tell you like this, right? Let's look at it like this. One time he was speaking, and he was saying that how he's like, okay, let me give you this story, right? I don't even know how I got introduced to this brother, but somehow when I started messing with YouTube, he came up there somehow. And he was saying something about, he didn't say, well, Minister Louis Farrakhan was the nation of Benjamin, and he was the nation of Judah. See, that's all it is. I just understood recently what that was. So I started listening to this brother. What was he saying, right? And what he was saying was making a lot of sense. And then so to speed it up, I started listening. When I first got into mathematics, before I joined a college or anything, I could just sit and listen to him. I know we got the one sister, she wrote a book. She come from that Dr. John Henry Clark era. I think her name is Houston. I can't think, she's a woman. And she, like the book she wrote, it's just real in depth. It's going to enlighten you about our history as far as Africa and the planet. So he started talking that, right? So I could just sit and listen to him for hours and study math, right? But at that time, I was still dealing with my own idiosyncrasies. A lot of times, we don't deal with it. It's a whisperer, right? The Quranic scripture says, I seek refuge with you, Allah, from the slinking devil who whispers into the hearts of men and jinn, who whispers into the hearts of men from the men and the jinn. Okay, so to put them dots together, when you talk about our history, he says something about, all the prophets in whatever scripture you're looking at prophesies that God would come to save us. So when he said that, right, I heard it. And when he said all the prophets, so we started thinking about Moses and Abraham and Jesus and such and such and such and such. But I seen that, no, I mean, you can look at it like that from a biblical situation, but the prophets is India. The prophets is India and Arabia and the Commission, right? We don't really know what would be the African, the Assyrian, or well, actually, it's just the Samaritan, the Commission, and the Arabian. Correct. Now that's probably not completely correct. So it's not that the prophets are Jesus and Abraham and Moses. The prophets are India, Arabia, and Commission. And each one of them nations of people have put out volumes of books that says that in the last days, God, before we go on, God will come. So when Master Farad Muhammad came, and you get this from Dr. Wesley Muhammad. See, Master Farad Muhammad, it's not really his color. He come as light. But as black people, right, like what is we really thinking about? So they sent him as light. That's why when you go to the Indian text and you see these figures or pictures of light-skinned people, right? See, that thing got so crazy now. That's like us calling Caucasian people white people. See, that's the whole mindset. It's an illusion. And then once you get into religion, if you've afflicted, but now you a high priest, and you take something that's supposed to represent light, and you change it up to make it represent Caucasian, and then we'll dress you up as John Hawkins. You understand what I'm saying? So we don't even know what our brother and I, when you talk about the west coast of Africa, we don't have no knowledge of what they were thinking about if these Caucasian people coming and they pale, they not light. Okay. So Master Farad Muhammad represents light. But again, it's how you see that situation. Okay. I'm kind of dumbfounded because he introduced something just to give you a little understanding of his importance. Okay, so if we go to, well, let's see what it says about Judah. Okay, no, let's read one more time about Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now listen, the Nation of Islam under the leadership of Minister Louis Farrakhan, that's a Benjamin kingdom up under Jacob, the nation of Israel, which is up under Abram or Abraham, right? It's nothing, like, and I'm not even in no position to say it's something wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. Listen, if you join Minister Louis Farrakhan's organization, the Nation of Islam, it's still Islam, the Nation of Islam. That's a Benjamin kingdom. And what I love, right, like when I just think about how he done that, right? He got Judah, like you don't have no whole bunch of Benjamins and the kingdom and his kingdom. That's a kingdom. I didn't even know. That's why I like that. That's actually a kingdom. Again, now you could disagree. I mean, but that's Benjamin. That's your brother. Like he not Judah, so he ain't you. He him. He doing what he want to do. But he got a nation of Judah up in his joint. Them black men Judah, and he Benjamin. Oh, that thing is just real beautiful. Like I love that. But that's not necessarily what the prophecies in the Bible. Now that doesn't make this brother wrong. No. We all going in a certain direction. But if you Judah, no, that's not gonna never work for you. When he was with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was a ravenous wolf, devour and prey. That was in the morning time. Now it's nighttime necessarily for this black man, and he just divide and spoil. But he believe in God. He know who God is. He not no devil out here. He not a disbeliever. No, he from the nation of Benjamin. Okay. But it's not Benjamin. That's the problem that we don't understand, and that's really the problem. I don't know if I'm going to say the entire planet, but the problem of the planet is the problem of the black man and black woman in America. That is the problem because we are the Khalifa. Understand that. When you come out in American society and you in black skin and you have a history of chattel slavery, God says that you, black man and black woman, are the guidance. You the Khalifa on the planet. So when we go to what the prophecy says about Judah, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? You see what I'm saying? You see how the devil come in and just mess that all up? Why? Let's listen to what they said about Benjamin. Now Benjamin, Jamaica now, right? Whenever you see, well, Benjamin is that area, well, Benjamin is Jamaica. Shall be a ravenous wolf, that's clear. That's a clear sentence. In the morning he shall devour the prey. That's another clear sentence. And at night he shall divide the spoil. Where is the confusion? The only confusion is that, well, we don't know whether that's a lie. I'm not saying that's this, like dumb people don't represent that. I'm saying we don't know what the Jews done to come in and change that up. Always remember Nicodemus, right? Then Nicodemus knew Jesus. But verse 27, chapter 49, book of Genesis, that's very clear. You read that verse, if you from the nation of Benjamin, you're like, damn, okay, yeah. Let's read about black man, black woman in America, right? And then look, right? Black man, black woman in America. Okay. Let's read verse 8 first to see if you know, sometimes I get ahead of myself, right? Okay, it starts off with verse 8. let's see. Okay, he talk about Simeon, Simeon and Levi. Okay, yeah. Okay. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Right? Right? Okay. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whip. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and until him shall the gathering of the people be. Binding is his foal unto the vine, and his ass colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, just so we understand, it's not Minister Louis Farrakhan. What I will say is that you have to look at us as black man, black woman, as the black man, black woman in America. What have we done as the nation of Judah? We ain't done nothing. You gonna come at me with some church? Listen, we have not done nothing. But what has this brother done? He not Judah, he Benjamin. He got the he had to listen. He did what the scripture said. He got in with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, Judah. And then, what does it say? If we go to 27, and at night he shall divide the spoil. See, again, if you see the $10 on the ground, because of how we have been abused from slavery, brother and sister, how you gonna say these people can't even read or write? Well, you're gonna say that because you know who they is. You getting rid of them. No, you read or write, we're gonna kill you. Then we're gonna rape the people that taught you. Talking about Caucasian people. Okay, so that's just so damn powerful, right? Oh, okay, so okay, so again, it's Minister Eric Muhammad, and I've been with this brother. Now, I've been with this brother since probably 2017. Now, I'm not here to pull on his chain. We're trying to stay focused because I really get into the spirit because it's really real. It's so real. And so, and just being in this environment for like 10 years, you know, when the dust settles, this brother's still right here. He's never given up. And you say, well, is he hustling? So, you know, the scriptures add up so much that it really doesn't even matter no more. We don't know what he's doing. We just found out that the minister, even though we knew that the minister was first from Jamaica, or he wasn't born, he doesn't have a history of chattel slavery in America. We find that out, but we don't never put it together that he from the nation of Benjamin. And then we just now, right now, found out what God gonna say this brother gonna do in the last days. So it don't matter. You got to look at yourself and take care of yourself. You seek ye first the kingdom of God, you. And then all things will be added unto you. So the brother name is Minister Eric Muhammad. It's him. It's Muhammad Temple number 15. This is the nation of Judah. right now, so you say, well, you don't like him and such and such and such. No, I mean, that could be what you say. I just think it's beautiful. Because look, unless it's a piece of paper that you done ripped up 1,000,000 times and then thrown it up in the air and now you talking about you're going to get some tape and try to take it back up. No. Put yourself back together. Right? You ain't got to don't put your faith in this brother specifically. I mean, you might like him and no, put your faith in what he represent, what we represent. It's the kingdom of Judah. We don't have nothing. Where is Judah now? We do have Minister Wafuddin Muhammad, and we have brothers and sisters, or brothers Muslim. Well, we just follow Prophet Muhammad. We still don't really know, but when you start getting it clear, maybe Prophet Muhammad is an Arabian, right? Right? But then you talking about a southern tribe in Yemen, and they already tell you that, going back to the hieroglyphics, who these people right here, they're not Israelites, but it ain't no such thing as no Israelite in the hieroglyphics. So who is this southern tribe in Yemen? Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna take up probably 2 or 3 more seconds, and then we're gonna move on. Minister Eric Muhammad Temple number 15. Now it's not a problem, but like I done already changed my name. God gave me my name. Allah gave me my name. Right? But if you're not necessarily at that point, okay, it's a lot of things involved with it, but real deal, it's like the supreme wisdom on the internet, right? You can join the temple. Initially, you couldn't get that information unless you joined the temple. But now everything, what the scripture says? The scripture says that if you believe in the law and steadfast and guard yourself against the hellfire that is prepared for the disbelievers, then your paradise will be as wide as the planet. So, you catch this brother from where you are and you start following him and you start correcting the things in your life. Basic things. 1 meal a day, 1 meal every 2 or 3 days. I pick on that initially because when you see us now, we fat, we overweight, or we living on potato chips and sodas, right? We not taking care of our health at all, right? Charity is not hard to do when you got money, right? But we ain't got no money, so therefore, but it's our spirit, and, so we pray, and, okay. So it's Minister Eric Muhammad Temple number 15. Then we have Minister Elijah Muhammad. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is no longer here physically. But we have this brother right here, Minister Eric Muhammad. And Minister Eric Muhammad is the nation of Judah. And when you talk about the entirety of the planet, it's over 4 or 5 billion black people on the planet. God say that the nation of Judah is the Khalifa on the planet. So when you look at the dollar, and on the back of the dollar they have the pyramids with the all-seeing eye, even though it's a left eye, right? We ain't gonna get into all of that. But it's out of many one. So it's this brother right here. And this brother will lead you. I can't, again, as a Muslim, more specifically as a Sunni Muslim, only God can lead you to the promised land. But this brother, again, I get dumbfounded right here, right? Because, it's a law. I know who Allah is. Like I commute. So he gonna get you there. And yeah, I think all praise to you, Allah, Lord of the worlds. Okay. Now, you know, I in coming over here, right, I had a conversation. And so I started thinking about Abraham. Like Abraham got on my mind, right? And I remember we had talked about Abraham being our father. The prophecy says, know for a surety, Abram, your seed, right? Okay, so Abraham is our father in our genealogy. And I wanted to look at who Abraham was, but we didn't start it out. Not that that's incorrect, but I did want to get to some math, right? I love that math, right? Okay, so let's look at it, right? Let's just get into it. I also want to say this, right? Should I put it on the board? Yeah, let me put this on the board. This is what we're going to do today, right? We're still talking about, okay, that's why I put the brother, remember now, Dr. Boyce Watkins, I don't know if I should just leave his name up here, right? Because I don't want to be all on him, you know? So we're going to say the stock market. Stock market. What's today's date? I think the day is the 18th. So let's put, what is it, 9? Is the date? Okay, no, 9/18/2024. Know the date now. It's 9/18/2024. We got the stock market. We want to talk about Adobe. We want to look at the Adobe earnings report. Adobe. Now I'll put earnings report. Corporations or companies every 3 months they have to show to the people what their business activities was for the last 3 months. Where they have to show how much they made, how much they spent. They just show you everything, right? Because again, you want to give people a understanding of what your company is doing so they can make a fair judgment on whether they want to invest with you or not. That's when you get into insider trading, right? If a company come out, like they got the reports, right? Now, again, we don't control it. See, that's why it's a hustle. It's all a hustle, right? So, but commercially, right, you catch a report, well, this company about to blow up, and it's only worth $1, right? But they made so much money, like you don't know what type of business deals they doing, right? So all that's important, right? But they got earnings reports. It comes out every 3 months. So you have a company will have necessarily 4 earnings reports during a year, a business year. And it's during the earnings reports where it'll go way up or it'll go way down. So I told you that Adobe just went down $50. It went down $50 from it was at $560, right? It went down $50 because they got something called evaluation, and we're gonna get into all of that eventually. That's where the money is, and so I just want to read that because we're talking about customers. You can sell pennies. Look, I sell you this American because it's America. Like it's how you define it, right? Look, I got an American penny. You ever seen one of these before? Oh, American penny. How much that costs? Right now in America, it's only 1 cent. But you can even sell it to an American, depending on how you do it, right? Marketing, the advertising. Look, just give me 50 cents or just give me $1. Right? I'll sell you this American penny for $1. Right? So then you need customers. So where are you going to get your customers from? Then what if you had millions of customers? So when you do come out with a business, You got to get customers. Now again, what I want to say is that, like with this pen gear, pen plus gear, and I was upset. I was like, after 3 classes, the pen runs out of ink. I only get upset because, look, we done 400 plus years of slavery. They done killed all my ancestors, then changed up my skin color, then killed all my relatives, people I love, my friends, then killed all of them, and then gonna come out with nothing. We don't have nothing. They let the Jews control the finance, Caucasian, and let them take it from them, then sneaked it out. Well, they follow the law of Moses. And then I can't even get a pen where it's gonna run out of ink after 3 classes, right? So that's where I come from. But reality is, they making pens, right? So we want to be respectful because look, what if they won't making no pens? What if you couldn't even go? What if it wasn't even no Walmart? Where would you get your food from? Right? So then you say, we're going to get our food from, they got the Caucasian that own the tractors. Mr. Wilkins, we're going to go get our food from Mr. Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins say, look, this is not a public facility. I only have enough food for me, my family, and my community. And if I have more food, which he not, because he a devil, if I have more food where I can sell, and I give you some, where I can sell some to you, then I will do that. But until I come to that point where after I feed me, my family, and my community, this is Mr. Wilkins, then I'll see if I can feed you, if you can afford it. Mr. Walmart ain't said, he probably said that back in the 1700s. He ain't saying that now. But you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So the things that we say, right? But, so to get that customer, Adobe, listen. Adobe, I think Adobe worth about market capital, they probably worth about 400 billion. I was talking to my brother. I met my brother one time in Walmart, and I was just showing him what was going on, right? Because when I actually started seeing what was going on, and I started listening to Dr. Watkins, I was like, yo, this brother right here, he the greatest thing in the world. And everybody, because I'm always listening, the whole time, I'm still in that newspaper mentality. And I do a leadership conference. I talk to young black men, specifically. I talk to young black women too, but again, leave the black woman alone, that's your wife. You get up on your feet, I ain't gonna say a hustle, you got to get some finance. And then you give it all to your wife. You don't even supposed to mess with no woman till you over 40 years of age. I see a lot of these black women, right? Older black women. Whether they have children, whether they don't have children. They all that fruit that brother done took me and you done bit into it, right? Allah forbid you done bit into it till it's just the core, but you done bit into it and thrown it away. What if that black woman had knowledge of the scripture? She following you. You ain't got no knowledge of the scripture, so you out here whoring. What's she gonna do? Initially, oh God, Bible, Mary, Jesus, that's a Christianity environment. But then eventually you still whoring, because you a man, you a black man. She gonna follow you, so she start whoring. So you done bit into that apple whole bunch of times, right? But what if these women, black women, what if they were virgins? 44, 45, 53, they just never found their husband, right? And then if they have been married, we got scripture for that. But they ain't been married to but they ain't been married to no Muslim. They ain't been married to Jesus or Moses. If you was married to Moses as a woman, black woman, and then you and Moses, it just don't work out, hell, you might want to stop being with Moses. Then they got what Moses going to direct you to what God telling you and him how to break away where, you know, you'll still be a black woman. You understand what I'm saying? But if you was a virgin, 43, 40, now we still talking about the Devil Society. You know, Susie Beth. Oh, girl, I done had sex 100 million times. And she looking. But she 43, 44, 52. I don't feel bad. Like, you know, you get into your little groups. I ain't got no man. Such as you talking to Susie Beth. That's as Susie Beth. But what if Susie Beth was who she was? Because that's who she is. And what if you were married? You were a virgin. You just ain't, you ain't never had, especially you talking about black America, ain't no black man really got no money. Where the finance at? And then if he do got money, like, what really is he thinking? He just trying to have sex. He a whore. We be whores. If we don't have no scripture. But that black man, that black woman, I can't really tell you how it would look from a woman's perspective. You know, the black man was a virgin. But I know she talking about she 47, 48, she ain't never, ain't nobody never bit into her. You know how you would feel? Right? You know what I'm saying? So, us as black people, and then when you come out and that customer, where you gonna get that customer from? So Adobe, their earnings report, we want to look at that just so we can clarify that, to let the world, let everybody know how difficult it is to get our mind together. Like, you know, like, damn, how do you make billions of dollars with a product? Even if you come out with a product, say you come out, you know, at one time we was trying to work on computers, coming out with our own computer, and we're getting a little bit closer to that. But even if you did come out with the computer where it could flip up or whatever, like, how would you see what I'm saying? Like how would you do that? We ain't got no knowledge of God. How God say do that? Brothers and sisters, these companies, I think Adobe is even controlled by Indians. So, like, you know, how is God telling us to do business? You ain't gonna get out here with a computer and go stand on the corner, right? Now, you can do that. And how long is that gonna take? But if we ain't got no knowledge of God, which we don't, then we're going to be lost. That's why that brother Minister Eric Muhammad is so important, because if you can't really get into what he's saying, just be there in the environment of what's going on in that spirit. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Adobe earnings report just to see what's going on, see how these companies doing it. And we want to look at really how many customers they dealing with. Then we got a good day today, as far as the stock market. They got something where they supposed to cut interest rates. Interest rates. And the reason why I say that's good, because again, and that's what I was speaking on. Like, whenever I meet someone, when I got introduced to Dr. Boyce Watkins, and then when I started seeing that, you know, at that time I ain't had no money, as far as like poverty. But I was like, you know, again, it's my wife and my children. And you know, nah, it ain't no 50-50. Like, you might meet a woman and y'all love each other, right? But nah, realistically, I got to have enough money to take care of myself, my wife, and my children. And she can do whatever she want to do. That's where that comes in, you know what I'm saying? You mess around with these whores. And shit, brother, that child come out don't look nothing like you. And then what if you know it? But you say you love her so much. She done went around and had sex with somebody that looked like you to mess with your mind. So that child come out, have you in doubt. You don't know whether that's your child or not, because it kind of look like you, it kind of don't look like you. Right? But Allah already tell you, well, look, is she Muslim? Do she got her head covered? When you seen her, you met her, did she, I not no baseball cap, did she have on a religious head covering to let you know that she making prayers? She pray to me, or she pray to God, speaking from a God perspective, or speaking from the perspective of a law. No, you met her, I ain't gonna say you met her in the club, but you ain't meet her like that. Right? So then you talking about y'all love each other. You don't know she a devil. You done got her, no, she done got pregnant with you and her having sex though. And she talking about y'all go together, y'all engaged. Child come out, don't look nothing like you. You say you still love her. No, that's my child. The thing the evil, that's the evil that we deal with. So, okay. So today, in talking about the stock market, they say the federal government, they call it the feds. So I think it might be the federal government, but they call it the feds. Now, when you read information about the stock market, whenever you see the Fed, now initially again, when I first started investing, you know, I ain't pay no attention to none of that. I ain't care about none of that. I was just what God was saying. God was saying, look, get this right here, get this right here, get this right here. Now again, this is what I want to say also. The stock market is not a casino. The stock market is not a casino. Invest smart. Invest I want to invest smartly. Invest smart. Invest wisely. Invest wisely. The stock market is not a casino. It's not gambling. They call gambling speculation. They don't say, you know, we say gambling, but they also call it speculation. When you speculate, well, what is Adobe going to do today? Like we're speculating right now, which I hate they didn't done that. But again, we got something, let's read it one more time. The stock market is not a casino. Make sure you invest smart. Make sure you invest wisely. You want to listen to what people say. No one can give you financial advice. They can only really tell you what they're doing or what they would want to do. But can't nobody give you advice. Only God can tell you what you're going to do. And then from what God tell you, you listening to people, you make that decision. But whatever decision you make, understand that the casino is not, the stock market is not a casino. It ain't no gambling. And what it's going to be. No, you got to see what's going on because you will lose it. You will lose it. I lie to you now, you don't want to invest smart, invest wisely. Then before we get into the pain, until you master your emotions, my brother say master your emotions. I had one thing, right? What was I going to say? Okay, the brother say don't, and listen, don't, you might not understand what this means at this time, but it'll make sense to you eventually. Don't chase. Don't chase the stock market. Don't chase it. Oh, that thing at $2. Ha! And you buy 1,000 shares and it go down to 30 cents. Let's look at that. If it's at $2 and you buy 1,000 shares, you paid $2,000. That's nothing. Now, that's a lot of money for us. If you just coming from nothing, like you can come from nothing. It take time. It's not a casino. It's going to take years. The brothers say it's really for children. Like if you take the time now as a parent, love your children. And instead of buying them Christmas, oh, that's the devil. Don't buy them nothing. Buy them some stock. And you just put a little bit into it over 10, 20 years. Listen, If they 3 or 4, 5 or 6, they could be 10. 20 years from now, they'll still be 30. They'll only be 30 years old. If you was investing $20, if you was investing for 20 years just for them, you know how wealthy they would be? So that's what I mean when I say it's not a casino. It's long term. But then you got to learn what long term means. But let's go back to the point. Don't chase the stock market. Don't chase it. When Adobe dropped, look now, if you ain't paying no attention, Adobe was crushing it. Again, we was loving Adobe. Let me give you that story and see if I can remember. Okay, so before I really started listening to Dr. Watkins, you know, it was the first stocks I invested. God say, look, you messing with these companies right here, you poor. It's a whole bunch of us now. I'm not bragging about that, but always understand this. It's a lot of damn people in society. Like wherever you go somewhere, right? You only seeing 10 people, but understand it's 100 million sets of 10 people. And you notice how you don't never really see the same person twice? Unless, like you never really see the same person twice. But every day you see somebody new. No, it's a lot of damn people. It's a lot of damn people. Oh. But slavery has destroyed that. We don't even know. We just think it's meat. Oh. Okay, so coming from the environment I was coming from, man, I love black people. Right? So it didn't even matter. But poverty, where we was going to Bank of America, spending our money at Walmart, and PayPal. We was crushing PayPal. So I invested in them companies, right? And I ain't really know too much about nothing else. Like I always knew about like Microsoft. We don't mess with Microsoft, right? Because that's too much like the American flag. And Amazon.com, that's like we don't mess with, like everybody doing it. We didn't initially mess with it. Now, sometimes you can mess with it if you want to get in and get some finance, but we really like if everybody into it, no, I don't let that money go. Let them people enjoy themselves. I try to, that's a fool. They don't give a damn about you. They hitting you in your back and everything. But again, I stay away from them things. So Amazon.com, we ain't messing with it. We ain't even mess with Google. I wanted to mess with Google, but nah, we was like Google commercial. Everybody messing with it, right? You want to find that stock, that jewel, but that thing just gonna go up, and you know you gonna make some money. So we were just messing with Bank of America, PayPal, and Walmart, right? But I started seeing it, right? And then again, I never told you why I love Adobe. I love Adobe because when I was out of graduate school, my whole mindset was like, I don't know, did I make a mistake, right? But then Adobe had them products, because we was always wanting to do like movies, because I'm a writer. So making a movie, right, but Adobe had them products where they made that thing look nice. Like if you had some garbage, and if you had the Adobe programs, you could get that on there, and Adobe would make that thing look like Hollywood. But Adobe costs. So Adobe had the thing, right? They said if you want no student, you got to pay $50. But if you a student, the price was like $19 for everything. So I was like, damn, I like that, right? They giving the student like I like that. You talking about them products cost a certain high price, unless you in society. But if you're a student, you only got to pay this. So that's when I first seen Adobe, then again, they products, right? So that's why I love that company. So I seen Adobe, right? At that time, Adobe was this was the summer of 2023. I just started investing. I took my stimulus and I just started trying to flip that. Adobe was at 420. I was messing with Bank of America and the rest, trying to see what's going on, right? And then I seen NVIDIA, right? I ain't even messed with NVIDIA at first because everybody was talking about it. NVIDIA. I'm like, no, I ain't really messing with that. But NVIDIA was at 380. But what made me pay attention to it, Adobe, because at that time I ain't had no knowledge of nothing, but I was like, damn, Adobe went up. At that day I seen it, Adobe went up to like 440. Right? This is when I was watching the stock market like hungry like. Adobe went up to, like it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. It was like 10 a.m. It was at 420. At 11:30, it was at 440. And then at like 3:30, it was back down to 420, right? So I was like, damn, I could have made me $20 right quick. But I seen the jump, how it jumped up to $20 and went back down, right? So I started paying attention to Adobe. That's when I first seen it, right? And then with Adobe was NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA was at 380. I was like, no, NVIDIA. Everybody keep talking about NVIDIA. So I wasn't even paying attention, right? So I started focusing on Adobe. And I was like, when I get my money right, I'm going to get me a share of that joint, right? Because, again, Bank of America go up 30 cents. Walmart was going up $1. Like, I'll make $1, $2. And PayPal was going up like $1, $2, right? But then PayPal got to 64. And at 64, I started getting a little bit broader knowledge, right? So I started coming out that little shell of what I was doing and started looking at other things. But I was making $2. I was saying like, damn, Walmart going up every day $2. But Adobe went up $20 that one day. So like we're gonna fast forward it, right? So then I started listening to Dr. Watkins, but I wasn't like, it's what God's saying to me, right? And this is what Dr. Watkins, what he tell you now? He say diversify. So I know what diversify means. I know what, damn, I don't even know if I diversify. Let's just see if that's spelled correctly. I know what diversify sort of means. Well, I know what it means, right? Okay, hold on one second. Okay, I think that's spelled correctly. Dr. Watkins says diversify. So we know what that means, right? Division. Don't put all your money on one stock. So if you're going to mess with Adobe and say you got $2,000, don't put the entire $2,000 on Adobe. Now, what I would say is that Adobe right now is then it dropped again, right? So I think it's at like 516. If Adobe go down to $100 and you got $2,000, then yeah, I would put all of that on Adobe. But you got to look, before I say that, why did it go down to 100? If it's just, well, no, that's, okay, so the reality is, I don't think Adobe would ever go down to $100 from 516 where you would put $2,000 on it. But there are, you see, that's Dr. Watkins, right? Because, I would never be dumb and put $2,000 on, like, all I had on everything, but, for maybe 2 or 3 hours, okay, so you can do it like this, right? If you got a stock that costs like $7, $8, if you want to put the whole $2,000, say you got a feeling just in how the stock market moving, that it's going to go up at least $1. Like, it's about to go up $1, but you don't really know. But you know that, like, in your mind, you tell you. So yeah, I probably would put the entire 2,000, but it will only be for like 2 or 3 hours, and I would just watch it. And you got to always understand now, you might lose it. See, the whole thing with flipping it like this is called day trading. I don't know if a day trader would do it how I just told you, because they're more knowledgeable about actually how to do it. But I mean, we know how to do it, but they know the terminology. Now, if I was to do this, because it's going, listen, what I want to tell you, it's more than likely going to go down. It's not going to go up. You got to have patience. I have really yet to catch a stock. I didn't wait for a stock to go down, but my patience is short. So then you got to learn to be a little bit more patient. But then God said, nope, you got to learn to be a little bit more patient. I just sat and waited, sort of, kind of. And it still go down. The stock market is more than likely to go down before it go up. Now, it's going up, inshallah. But listen to me. The stock market, because you want to catch the price at its lowest price, because you'll have a graph, it'll go down right here. You buy right here, you're going to lose. If you sell it right here, you done lost. But if you be patient and keep it, it's going to go up. So you done brought it here, and it dropped on you, but you was impatient. Damn, so you sell it. But if you would have been patient, it was right there. You know how sick I done got? That's another thing I want to tell you too, right? So let me erase that. We're going to just, the fundamentals, we still talking about math analysis, but now we're learning about the stock market too, because once you condition your mind to see the behavior and the mannerisms of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Numbers have a symmetry. Now, I think I want to write my dissertation. If I choose to continue on to get a doctorate in mathematics, I really want to look at the symmetry. The distance between 0 and 1 is the same distance between 1 and 2. It's the same distance between 3 and 4. That's why you can add numbers. They call it arithmetic, the foundation. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now, it's a lot of reasons why that is, and I still have yet to, I got to prove that. So Allah showed me how to prove it. So inshallah, when we get into a certain type of space. But the reason why 1 plus 1 is 2 initially is because the distance between, okay, say you got a store here and you got a store here. It's a certain distance. It could be meters. You can say footsteps. How many footsteps does it take to get from store A to store? It's a certain distance between these two stores. So it's a certain distance between A and B. Say A is a point in space L, you got point A, and you got point B. Well, it's a certain distance between them 2 points. Okay, so now we're talking about numbers. You got 0 and 1. To go from 0 to 1, it's a certain distance, because you're talking about fractions. And then you got not only fractions, you got irrational numbers. Remember, irrational numbers go on, they don't never end. So you got a fraction that ends, you got another fraction that ends. You got a fraction in between them 2 fractions, and then in between whatever you're speaking on, you got that irrational number that don't never end. So it's a certain distance between numbers, and that's the symmetry of how God then made everything. Now, always understand that numbers are a language that we use to try to describe the creation of a law, but some things that Allah has created that numbers can't describe. That's when you have a language problem. So then we start approximating. So we say that A plus B is equal to, say, the growth of a tree, or say the speed of an atom. That's a good point. What would I say an atom looks like? Well, an atom is initially spherical, but it's going to be much smaller, so we could say, then it's probably going to have, okay. So we know math, we have math as a language, but that mathematical language, you can't necessarily use that to describe some of God's creation. So then it becomes a language problem. All right, so that's when we as believers in the law, we come through. Again, it's herpes and AIDS and Alzheimer's, right? So you got to really look at all of that and who you are. And again, this brother that built his kingdom. What are we doing? So then when you start talking about, okay, and what I want to say is, when you talk about mathematics as a language, again, we didn't close that point. But then they say, well, you know, the country that dominates the planet, we speak in their language. So now we speak in Swahili, or we speak in Igbo, right? But understand, that's not correct. The only language that we need to be learning is the mathematic language. Listen, brother, I don't speak your language. I'm going to take the time, walk me through food, avocados, fried chicken, cooking oil, and farming. Let me learn them words in your language, but do you know that math? You see what I'm saying? Let me use differential equations, right, and all of that. Okay, so that's the language. Just I wanted to clarify that. So we talk about number symmetry and the distance between whatever number you're speaking on. We talking about integers, or we talking about whole numbers. That's a good point why they probably say whole numbers. Because whole numbers include zero. We can say natural numbers and we can write it, the language, to include zero, but I just like it better when you say whole numbers. And that makes a lot of sense because it gives you 10 and then you learn about continuity. And that's heavy because then now we just shown that these people that's coming out with all this mathematics in the 1800s, we done just shown right here that's incorrect. Commissions already knew all about that. We already knew all. In our history as black people on the planet, we've already originated all these things. Okay, so when you talk about the symmetry between two numbers, 0 and 1, the distance, and then you got 1 and 2, but look, the distance in between these numbers go on to infinity. We have a theorem, I ain't gonna be able to just give it to you, but it's something called density. The space or the distance in between 0 and 1 is dense. Well, you know density. Density is like something real solid compared to this eraser. Even though this eraser is solid, it'll float because it's not that dense. But you take something like a block of steel and you put it in the water, it's going to go straight to the bottom because it's real dense. So it's a lot of things in between 0 and 1, and that's because the numbers go on to infinity. There is no number that you're going to come to where it's this number and then it's 1. You understand what I'm saying? So you can say 0.99, right? But then what about 0.999? And then 0.9999. What's even more powerful is that in the creation of a law, what is equal to 0.999? You see what I'm saying? The things that we can, like once we get organized, you know, we black on the planet. But 0.999, what type of I call it the physiological system when you talk about nature and the universal system, but the universe system. So what in the universe system, remember how I talked about a function. A function describes the activity of the system. So what system are we talking about? It's just functions. How does it work? How does it work? I pick on the atom. I like particles. I pick on the particle because a particle, again, that custom. The particle is the multitude-fold of a law. Like there's no way, no matter how wicked you are, you can't say, well, he got all the particles. Like, you know, a lot of times that's where it comes from. Well, initially, I can't say that because a lot of times it's inherent how we are created. But, you know, to disintegrate the jealousy and the envy and the strife, right? If you go to particles, you say, well, damn, brother, how, take all these particles and look at all these customers and how you still like, let me have my particles. There is no, it's just a small, you see what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Like a wholesale price. Like you can have a phenomenal wholesale price with particles. And I can have a phenomenal wholesale price with particles. And then particle, because it's heat. You don't want it to be cold. And then from heat, electricity, and then you can do a lot of things. So that's why I like particles, right? So that's a system. That's a universe system. So in that universe system, what does this 0.9999 describe? And then what function gives you that? So that's a little something, right? And what I want to say is this, again, so let's look at it like this, right? Does the distance, if it's symmetry, and it's just a distance of 1. Okay, if we measure this little distance right there, well, no, that's not what we're talking about. Okay. So the distance between 0 and 1 is infinity. The distance between 1 and 2 is infinity. The distance between 2 and 3 is infinity. Now the distance between 0 and 3 is not equal necessarily, right, to the distance between 0 and 1. But this goes on to infinity as far as the distances being equal. But are they equal, right? So you talking about, say you take a point, okay, you got 0, the distance between 0 to 1. So say you say point A, we're going to say, well, what point? Okay, so this is how math analysis works. Let's listen. We want to try to prove, yeah, this is actually very good. This is what math analysis is. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to stop it right here. We're going to say whole numbers. Now, when you read the literature, you won't see whole numbers. What you'll see, if you're talking about, this is called a subset. And we're talking about the subset of real numbers, or we're talking about a subset of numbers. We're just going to call it, we're not going to call it real numbers. We're just going to say a subset of numbers. And when we say a subset of numbers, we're talking about the creation of a law. So you're just talking about a subset of numbers. Now, what you will see, how you'll see this written in the literature, you won't see whole numbers. You'll see integers, they're just integers. Remember, it's going to be a z that look like this, a crazy looking z, but we just say z, right? Integers is negative numbers. If you do the timeline, not the timeline, you do the number line. You got positive, you got negative. Doesn't include no fractions. Just natural numbers, but we include 0. Remember, natural numbers don't include 0, and we include negative numbers. That's what integers are. So whenever you see a z, if you just see the z by itself, it's talking about negative numbers, positive numbers, 0, and it doesn't include fractions. And they say this is a real number. Okay, so we're talking about integers, but now we're not talking about negative integers, but we are talking about 0, and we're talking about to 4. But understand, z integers go on in both directions, negative infinity, positive infinity. We're not even talking about negative infinity, positive infinity. We're talking about starting with 0 and ending with 4. So we say, no, that's natural number. That's a natural number set. Well, no, it's not natural numbers because we have 0 here. So how would you write that, or how would you see that in the literature? Well, first of all, you have a set. When you see this symbol right here, this represents a set. And remember how I say how my professors, they'll get on your ass, right? You got to even, because it's the language. Now, you know, not to be particular, because we little children, right? But no, they're going to be on your ass. You got to learn, you got to know X in R, right? Then you can define it however you want to define a function. Okay, so you know me, right? You know, I know what it is, but it's more or less communicating. You got to communicate. Like I tell the young brothers and sisters all the time. If you don't know how the language of mathematics, if you don't know how to articulate what you need, then how you gonna ever get it? Right? You can say all kind of ways, I need $1 billion. You're just not pronouncing it correctly. If you're talking about people that can give you that. But what if you actually knew how to articulate, I need $1 billion, right? So it's just language. But if you don't know how to communicate what you need, then you'll never get it. We need things. I'm talking about in poverty. We need food, clothes, and shelter. Right? But then who you asking for that? You ain't asking God. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So you got to learn the language of God. Okay. So they'll give you a set. Z is a set. And you can define it. They call it boundaries. You put boundaries because it go from negative infinity to positive infinity. Ain't no boundaries. It just go on forever. Okay, so how you'll see this in the literature? How you'll see this in the literature is that you'll see, now, this is called a subset. It's called a subset because look now, math analysis. Look at what you got to do. You got to first see that, well, this is an integer set. This is set Z. You got to know this is a set. A lot of times you got to just see, again, from slavery, we waiting for somebody to tell us what it is. See, we ain't been robbed, brothers and sisters. We should be pampered. They just canceled affirmative action. Let me tell you about that, right? They had this dude on social media. I mean, not like a social media influencer. It's just news. When you see the news on social media, and they was talking about when they had this dumbass, they didn't just cancel affirmative action, right? And they had this dumbass Asian, Far East Asian. I don't know if he was like all the way Chinese. He might have been like, you see some of them Asian people, they're like Chinese and Mexican. Like, you don't really know, not to be disrespectful, but you don't really know what they is. But so we say they Chinese. They had his dumb ass up there, and he was talking about, I was like to listen to what he was saying about how he was glad that they canceled affirmative action. They took the definition of affirmative action was for chattel slavery. They got this dumbass devil on the television talking about now he glad they didn't cancel that where he can get into college. You know how bad what they have done to us in this country? There's nothing nothing. Man, this dumbass up there, I seen all like, damn. It was weird. It was like, you ever remember the Superman the Superman cartoons? And then it's Superman. And then they give you that other dude, I don't know I forgot how they used to call him, right? But he was Superman in like another world. But everything was like squares and rectangles, right? Okay. So it's something called a subset, right? You got a set, so you got to see, okay, that's how I got into that. It's math analysis. Math so difficult, it make life easy. Okay, so I was talking about the chattel slavery. And then that goes back to affirmative action. So you see what I'm saying? Chattel slavery, we waiting for somebody to tell it to us because not that we was already like that. We was already functioning on the planet. And everything, we just like the rest of society. People walking around, they think a totally separate way. We was just like that. Now, we waiting for someone to tell us what to do, and they know that. And now they got us up in these high institutions. Talking about take the test. Fatiha, putting problems on the board. Let Foxy Hot answer. You don't know the damn answer. I'm not talking about in genius. They know that. No, that's they give you the test all the time about the dude used to do the test on the animals with the dog. That's just one example. So you don't even know nothing about this. So you got to define it for yourself. But look, you on somebody else playing board. It's a game. They done made the game. You done got on the game board and trying to play. So you gonna define it. But they gonna tell you it's whatever I want it to be, because I done made the game. When you make something yourself, you can make it do all kind of things. Then here come Dummy, talking about he gonna play your game. Right? Now, we not no wicked people. We are spiritual people that love God. So we ain't got no mouse traps in the game where that's the end of your whole nation. Well, we damn sure gonna kick you in the butt now. Well, I ain't gonna say we gonna even kick you in the butt. Well, we gonna give you the big piece of chicken. I've yet to really understand, right? You got to really be a man, and I ain't into all like I know who I am, right? I know who God, I know who I am. So I ain't got to have a big piece of chicken. No, I want you to have a big piece of chicken. I'm trying to remember who. Okay, yeah, okay. I mean, some people like that, right? If they trying to, yes, sir. Okay, so if you just have these numbers right here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now look, you didn't put it on the board, so don't wait for this. God told you to put it on the board. Then you waiting for your slave master to tell you what it is. Now the problem is that really you can define it with however you want to define it. Really, we speak in English is the problem. But if you was in a black country, you would be speaking their language, right? But what if you was in your black country? You would be speaking your language. And then, right? But the only thing, look at it like this, right? Say if you found out somehow God showed you, well, look, really this is where you come from. You say, oh, okay, I got my heritage back. And then you go to that country, and then you start speaking their language, which is your language, but 400 years of slavery, that's not the chattel slavery part. That's God, right? You're going to feel, you ain't going to feel, like, even though you from, like, you can look at your genealogy, but you got to look too, right, how the bloodline with the Caucasian, with the slave master raping our mothers, how they got their blood in us. So that might change up your spirit, right? Like, is the blood, does your blood get to a certain level because of your skin color, right? Yeah, that's real sad. That's real horrible. That's why that's a crime that they got to pay for. Okay. But that was a good point, because what I wanted to say is that, you know, as black people in America, with the Nation of Islam and Master Farad Muhammad and the prophecies that God would come, and when he would come as light to shine in some darkness, right? So that's that spirit of Allah in the beginning. So if you was to find out where you came from before slavery and you went back there and you was now amongst your people, even if you looked like them, or you had never got necessarily touched, right? Your spirit you still would not be with them, because God would be in you, right? Right? Like you know, because I'm not saying we have a higher level, but we just import some knowledge that the planet ain't got. They ain't got that knowledge. But it is here, and they can get it from Kemet, right? But it'd be more of I don't know, right? The planet was in a certain position at that time compared to where it is now. So all that would affect. So that's good. That's real good. Okay. So you say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you got to analyze it. Okay, what I done put on the board. Now again, we're using English language, so let's suffer. Well, it ain't. I hate when I say that when I speak that dua. I don't like to use suffering, but I because I know what it means or what I mean. But let's suffer this. The ignorance that we don't know. So we done put 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, why we put that on the board? We put that on the board because we were trying to show the distance between 0 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and 3 and 4. And then we want to know that is the distance between 0 and 1, is that equal to the distance between 2 and 3? Because the distance between 0 and 1 is 1, the distance between 1 and 2 is 1, and the distance between 2 and 3 is 1. So the distance, if you're talking about whole numbers, or if you're just talking about numbers, the distance, see what I'm saying? So when I say numbers, do you know what I mean compared to someone that don't have no intelligence? Do they know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? So if I was to say the distance between the numbers, but then somebody might say, well, trigonometry. No, the distance between whole numbers. Well, damn, where you get that from? You see what I'm saying? So say the devil come in and he's sitting, he listens. Lord forbid you to let him in, right? But somehow he in there. And you say, well, look, it's the distance between, we're talking about the distances between numbers. The distance between 0 and 1 is 1. The distance between 1 and 2 is 1. The distance between 2 and 3 is 1. So I say we're talking about the distance between numbers. The devil say, well, hold on a second. It's not the distance. He's telling you about what you're doing. He said the distance is not the distance between numbers. It's the distance between whole numbers. You'd be like, what? Whole numbers? What the hell? What are he talking about? You see what I'm saying? Okay. But understand, each one of these distances goes to infinity. 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2, infinity equals infinity. And then look at the analysis, right? Look at this math analysis. Negative infinity equals positive infinity. Now I just seen my professor right there right now. He might say that's wrong. That might be wrong. We got to prove that. I don't really have the time because we won't have to think. But we're gonna come back, inshallah, and like this might not be true. It might not be true now because you're talking about forever. That's a lot of space. So it's all kinds of knowledge up in there. You can freak that thing. Well, that might not be true. The negative infinity, like the absolute value of negative infinity, it might not be infinity. And the absolute value of positive infinity, it might not be infinity. Or I believe that we can prove it to not be true. I think we can prove that. We just got to see what it is. Okay. But look now. So infinity is equal to infinity. I believe that to be 100% true. They look at everything and they the same. But is it the same? Even though it's equal to 1, 1, 1, the space in between the two numbers, if you're talking about numbers, see what I'm saying? So maybe it is. It's not, well, in Arabic, right? What would we say in Arabic? Correct? And that's a whole separate type of learning situation. But it doesn't necessarily have to be Arabic. But I would want to learn it in Arabic because again, the Quran, the revelation was revealed in Arabic. Okay, so again, let's see if we can just keep it with English. The distance between these numbers is 1. When we say 0, 1, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. 3 minus 2 is equal to 1. Let's understand the absolute value. If we do it the separate way, 0 minus 1 is equal to negative 1. 1 minus 2 is equal to negative 1. 2 minus 3 is equal to negative 1. Now, if you take the absolute value of them numbers, negative 1 is equal to 1. The absolute value of negative 1 is equal to the absolute value of 1, and then so they equal. But I dare say that now they got proofs. They got proofs that say that this is equal. The absolute value of negative 1 is equal to the absolute value of 1. But I dare say, just like with the infinity, I took it down, right? But just like with negative infinity, I believe now the space is the space. That's another good point, because you could talk about the origin. Okay, negative 1 and 1, those are finite numbers. It's a point. It's just a point on the number line. 1 is a point. Negative 1 is a point. But infinity is not a point. Infinity is more like an interval. So that's like, now we're using language, right? Well, we got to define it, and we ain't trying to do that. But I dare say that we can prove this to not be true, but in the literature it's true. Okay, so let's understand further. So the distance between these numbers is 1. So we call in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 just numbers. But then when you start to get into the literature and the English language, well, what kind of numbers are you talking about? So you got to look at what you put on the board, right? You see, it's natural numbers. These is natural numbers. You know, 0 is not any natural number, so we talk about integers. But integers go from negative infinity to positive infinity. But this only goes to 0. So what type of integers are you talking about? He a 5-year-old black man, right? But for 3 of them years, okay, say he a 5-year-old black man living in Virginia. But for 3 of those years, he was living in New York. So for 3 years, he was living in New York, right? But now he living in Virginia. Okay, so you have a set of numbers, what they call a set. You recognize that, yeah, it's natural numbers. Always understand, right? Natural numbers is in. Natural numbers are in integers. So you see the natural numbers. The only set after natural numbers that includes 0 is integers. But where are the negative numbers? So how you write this, right? You have a set, then you have something called a subset. Natural numbers are a subset of integers. Natural numbers are a subset of integers. So then you start freaking that thing, right? So now you're talking about the set. Integers is a set. But then when you talk about rational numbers are a subset. See, this is where the confusion come in, where you got to understand, we talking about math analysis. And you got to slow it down and get your language together and know that you done 400 years of chattel slavery. They posed the pamper to you. What they done to me. Okay, so they not. They did that to you on purpose. So I just give you Z and say, well, look, Z a set. So you say, yeah, okay, yeah, Z a set. But I ain't told you that Z can be a subset. And you don't even have the intelligence to put it together that it can be a sub. Like you intuitively supposed to know, well, if it's a set, you know 1 divided by 2, you got 1, and you can divide that by 2. It's the same thing with variables. If it's a set, a whole, well, it can be a part of something separate. So it's a subset. So now we got a subset. So how we can write, so you can write it again all kind of ways, right? But you can say Z1 is in Z, right? So Z1 is the subset. Well, what kind of subset is it? So we say Z1 is equal to X in R, and then we're going to say greater than or equal to X, greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 4. Now, and this is subset Z, and this right here is the group of numbers that we're talking about. Now, if you've been following, like if you was to have if you know numbers, you know how to add and subtract and multiply and divide. Even if you know how to do that, when I put this on the board, you will have no knowledge of what I'm talking about. Like you will have no knowledge of what I'm, like you'd be like, what the hell is that? But if you didn't look at every one of them, like what it's been, I think this is our 4th class, 1, 2, I think this is our 4th lecture. If you didn't watch each one of them lectures, this is still advanced. I mean, it's not advanced, but from where we are, from what we've been doing, this is advanced. This would be advanced for you, but you probably almost might know what that means. The only thing you probably won't understand is the 0 greater than, less than X. Because you're not going to understand the relationship between X, and you're not going to understand the relationship between X and R. Remember, it's the real number set. Real number set. It's just the language. You don't really know what, I think this is right? But this is because you can use it all kind of ways. But this is the Greek letter epsilon. Well, no, it's not the Greek letter epsilon. So some things I just know, we tired of looking at that, right? So that's an excuse. But when you see this symbol right here, because you can have epsilon too, right? We're going to get into that, right? And they kind of look alike. But when you see X or any type of variable into another variable, that means that that variable is in that set or in that situation, right? So you see me walking around on campus, and it's always going to be this room, right? It's the room, which is aura, and then X, I'm walking around here somewhere, and then when I come into the room, now it's X in aura. So the subset, remember set Z, but we're not talking about everything in the integer set. We're just talking about these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So we say subset, we say Z1. Z1 is a subset of Z. Then you got to define it. Well, right here they give it to you, or we give it to ourselves. We know what it is. Okay, but look, where variables come in at is that what if you was just trying to make up a subset? Well, you ain't have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but in your mind you say, well, look, I want to create a subset. I want to create the heaven and the earth. I ain't mean to say it like I ain't mean to say it like that, right? But I want to create the heaven and the earth. Well, God said, well, look, where you going to create that? You ain't going to create it necessarily here, right? I know what you know not. That's what God told the angels, right? So God said, well, look, if you want to create a heaven and the earth, you ain't, like, can you create it, first of all, on this planet? God said, you can't create that here because we already got it. Like, how is that going to affect the believers? People that have yet to wake up, but are prophesied to wake up. How is that going to affect all of that? So where are you going to create that, Fatiha? So we want to create a set. So how that changes right now, look now, we said X in oral, X is the unknown variable. What type of numbers we're going to use to create the set? Well, we don't know what type of numbers. Like, we don't know, it could be 10 to 20, it could be 25 to 1,000,000. We don't know what numbers we're going to use. But we know we're going to call that variable X, and we're going to put that variable in the real number set. Right? You got to define it. So whatever you want it to be, but you don't know what you want it to be. But that's not correct. You do know what you want it to be, but it's in your enemy language. It's what your enemy want it to be. Or you have to use your enemy's language for what you want it to be, which is the confusion. That's why we crazy as hell. High blood pressure, sugar diabetes, black on black murder, homosexuality, the abuse of ourselves and our women. That's why we crazy, because we have to define it. But what language we using? We don't. What language is you going to use? So we want to create a set. We want that set or we want to create a set of numbers. We want that set of numbers to be integers. Then we want to put what they call boundaries on the set. So it's going to be a subset of the set. So Z1 is our subset or set of numbers that have boundaries. They don't go from negative to positive, infinity. That's going to be in the integer set, Z. Then we're going to call what we put in there X. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but they use X or X. I like X. X, we're going to put X. You ain't got to really put it in nothing, but that professor, he said, well, look, this brother right, he gonna say, look, you didn't put X in the real number set. You ain't got to put it in the real number set. You ain't got to put it in nothing we done seen. You can put it in Y. But you got to define what Y is. But remember, from slavery, they got that up out of there. So you say, God say, look, because God will do this now. God say, look, no, don't put it in that. Put it in this right here. You're like, yeah, I like that. So you'll put it in that, and then that'll be the end of it. God say, what you going to do now? You got to define why. You see what I'm saying? Now let's look at this, right? The crumbs. You got to define, you know how much work that is? To define that, you got to get out here with the, I want to say this, right? Because I was about to say astronomy. The only math that's higher, I'm not going to say more difficult. It might be more difficult. But the only math that's higher than math analysis is astronomy. And they don't even tell you astronomy is math. But that's what astronomy is math. I'm not going to say at this time, what would make it more difficult is that's application. Like you got to get up there. Or if you can't get up there, you got to still put your hands around it. So that means you got to start doing production and you got to make that equipment. So that's difficult. So that might make it more difficult. That's a higher level of mathematics. Because now you're talking about application or applied math, right? So astronomy, right? So why do I say that? I say that because that's a lot of work. To define, you got to define why. These brothers done built pyramids to come out with algebra and geometry and calculus. Okay, I'm going to start to close it up because I want to get back again. We got something good today. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the Adobe earnings report, but we're going to, inshallah, I'll put it on the board just to remind us that we're going to stay focused. But look, right? So this is where the crumbs come in. If God tell me and you, look, don't use nothing of what they saying, we're going to put the variable X and Y. Then you be like, damn, I got to, yeah, you got to define that. You got to know the proofs, or you got to prove it, and everything you come out with, you got to prove it until you can't prove it no more. So why I say crumbs falling from the slave master's table, but always understand that the slave master was under the table of black people, us, before we lost our knowledge. That's why that's so crazy now. I mean, it's not crazy. That's why it's God. What was you doing on the western coast of Africa with black people that would sell you into slavery? What was you doing? Why would you let John Hawkins and Willie Lynch trick you up with the Bible? They didn't kill you. It's easy to kill you. So you got to understand the game. Shit. They could easily kill you. They had to trick you and trap you where they could get their handcuffs on you to make you a slave for them. So what was you doing for that to happen to you? Okay. So instead of defining what God has given us, God said, well, look, why don't you use their language? The crumbs falling down, so we say oral. So you find us in graduate school, undergraduate school, learning their language. And again, that's not a knock. That's just so we understand really what we're speaking on, right? It's not, again, like you can learn this, learn math analysis, and get out here, they're gonna love you. That's a skill. Anytime somebody roll up on you, you talking about Mr. Microsoft? No, he don't want you to perform at his party, right? He gonna say, look, let them celebrate, and you come back here, son, and let me speak to you about some problems I got with my business. That's a skill. You got a skill. Well, listen, how much you gonna pay me? Now look, like I always say, right? It is in color, but on certain levels, when you get your hand up out your butt, and you are who Allah says you are. Listen, brother, regardless of color, I'm not never ever trying to go back on my all fours eating raw meat. Damn that. So you see Barack as the president. He wasn't me and you, but he was a black man. I'm not never trying to do that. So I'm going to pay you. But look, I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I'm not going to give you my company. Right? See, so that's what we think, right? Like our pride. You go to the book of Proverbs, say, pride before destruction. We be prideful. Right? You got to look at that, right? So like, yeah, I got my doctorate and everything. What? And I'm in black skin. So, and then we be disrespectful to the devil, but you look around you, it just be you. He ain't rolled up on you in no tank, but he has. He doing that right now. You don't even know they your mother and your father, right? You don't even know that. You celebrating the 4th of July, but and you got your doctorate, and whenever these Caucasian people come up talking about they trying to get your services, you make them bow down and belittle them and disrespect them. Talking about you good, they got to pay you. But they got that tank on your great-great-great-grandmother. I say that because regardless of the color, no human being is not going to ever give you their business for your skill. Yeah, I'm going to pay you. What they gave Steph Curry, they giving these brothers, big shout out. I'm going to tell you like this, right? Like when we talk about Dr. Watkins, right? I remember when I was listening to him, Dr. Watkins, right, I think he come from Kentucky. And he said that in the 1996, 97, he was at the University of Kentucky. This is real powerful. And he said he was writing articles about how college athletes should be paid, like a salary, like they should be getting paid because they're making so much money for the university, right? And do you know that I can remember, right, because we used to be sitting on the couch watching BET at that time, right? But I actually remember in that atmosphere, I actually remember reading, because ESPN was real big at that time, right? I remember reading someone it was a black man too. I mean, it was him. I think it was actually him. I think it was from Kentucky, right? But it was a black man talking about what these people need to be getting paid. So I thought that was real, that was powerful, right? We say crazy. I thought that was but that was real powerful. I had read that was actually him, right? To show where he would progress to. And then look, these brothers getting paid, right? Brothers and sisters getting paid. Okay. So again, when you get knowledge, and it's what the scripture says, but again, he's not gonna give you the basketball team. I think it's really, again, the argument is, brother, look at what they done to us. But they're giving Steph Curry $100 million. I'm not even saying he deserve it. He don't deserve it. That's a lot of damn money. But no matter how much money he give that brother, he's not gonna give him 50, 60% ownership. That don't even make no sense. But that's what we think. We think we should get ownership, and then it's an incorrect argument. Not Muslim, ain't making no prayer. Allah forbid you pray into a Caucasian Jesus, right? So even he Jewish. You're like, no, they saw. But we get out here, we get upset, we get angry, and we'll go to war because he only giving me $200 million. I want to say a year, but that's unrealistic, even though it's possible. But he do a 5-year contract for $200 million. Somewhere in his contract, it's gonna be 200,000,000 just for him bouncing a basketball. And we get upset and I need to get 80% of the basketball team. We get on television, start talking about all types of negativity with no type of intelligence. And then you wonder why the police shoot us. Remember, it's a community. So you just got to get all that cleaned up. He ain't gonna never give you, he not gonna give you his team. Because in so many ways, he didn't sweat, he didn't bled, it wasn't easy for him in his world to get what he has. But again, our argument is that we have not been compensated, and there is no compensation. You know what the compensation is, what the Bible says. What does the Bible say our compensation is for 400 years of slavery? So that's the end of that argument. So always understand that, because when you do get the skill and you be nice, where you gonna get the money from? What if I don't even give a damn about your skill? Get the hell on. I don't like your attitude. Then we say he racist, right? They love calling my brother racist. That's the craziest, you know what I'm saying? Like the things that they think we just dumb. Like that's what they really think we dumb, because for so long now, we got dumb black people in front of the world. So they think we dumb. Okay. So once you get the skill, and then I don't hire you, as far as like corporate whatever. What if I'm black and well, no, I think the black man, if you got some skin, he need that. He gonna hire, even if you're an asshole. But what if don't nobody hire you? Then you got phenomenal knowledge. You're looking for your slave master to pay you. So then you got to create it yourself. How you do that? How does Adobe make billions of dollars? How they get that customer? Like, is it really a good product, or am I just blinded by the lights and I don't really know what's good? They talking about the pyramids. They said the pyramids used to glow at night. Like, you ever seen a marble? You go into a bathroom and everything marble tile, and you be like, oh. You ever go into Lowe's and wish you had some Lowe's, $1 million worth of Lowe's food stamps. You in the bathroom section, and you seen how you can freak your tile. They got the little small tiles. You see how you can do that? So it's things that you can do to get, to get that customer, right? Okay. So let me lead us up here, right? We're gonna break it down. Now this is what we want to do. Today, right, with the stock market, for so long, they've been talking about interest rates. Interest rates been high, we fighting inflation, right? Or the country, America, we ain't really fighting inflation, but me and you, when you go in the grocery store, like I say, right, they had to, at one time, Walmart, right, when COVID came, everything kind of went up, right? They was trying to really just get the money at that time. They was hyping up COVID so they could raise the prices, right? But that great value, that's a Walmart brand. That great value cooking oil, it was olive oil too, right? Which is, because them olive oil trees is in Jerusalem. And if you get the book, that brother tell you he went to sleep on his land with olive tree. It take 100 years for an olive tree to actually produce olives where you can get the oil. So he had an olive tree garden. And he said he woke up in Gaza and everything was gone. That shit was sad, brother. Now again, but because that's what they give us. And we really done got numb to our abuse. And we gravitate to other people's abuse, right? But that great value during COVID, they was giving 24 ounces. Everything had kind of went up. But that joint was like $2.94. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was something wrong, right? Because then Fatiha. So I was like, damn, it then went down. I'm talking about that olive oil. If you go up in Walmart now, olive oil is $7. The great value brand. So that's that inflation, right? Orange juice. You get the great value orange juice. It's like a generic brand. You get the half a gallon for $1.69. I was crushing the whole gallons for like $3, right? Like you go and get you a whole gallon during the summer. If you walk, say you got to walk to the Walmart, that's like 5 or 6 miles. And it'd be hot, you'd be sweating. And then you get you a gallon of orange juice and drink that thing on the way back. Orange juice is $8. I still been trying to figure out how you going, and then when you go in there, it ain't no orange juice nowhere on the rack. People done brought that thing. How you gonna pay $8 for some orange juice? They had the bag of onions. They was crushing the potatoes. They had the red potatoes like $6 for like 5 pounds. I was like, damn. So it's inflation. And then look now, when they talk about the stock market and investing in companies, they don't include the food inflation. So they talking about they cut the interest rates. They talking about inflation on like how much a car costs, how much a house costs. They ain't talking about how much the food costs. I believe that's correct. But when you cut interest rates, that means that make money cheaper. So the interest rate right now is $10. No, not $10. The interest rate right now on $1 is 10%. But when they cut that thing, right, you can get that $1 million loan with just only 2%. If I loan you, listen, if you're intelligent, say you got a discipline in math analysis since you was a little child. Now you about 17, 18, and you get a loan with no interest, you see what I'm saying? Or you can flip that all types of ways, or you can just flip that on the stock market and never work again. That's what my brother talk about. He talk about something called stock options. We're gonna get in that too, right? But with stock options, you gotta have that cash to get involved with it. But if you got that cash, you don't even understand, brothers and sisters. People making $10,000. I was talking to my mama, and I was saying, like, me and my mama, right? And we in that struggle, and you look at our history as black people, right? Getting a job, employment, how your salary, how much you gonna make. Making $10,000 a week with stock options. That's 4 weeks in a month. That's 10,000, 10,000. That's $40,000 a month. What is you talking about? $40,000 a month just pressing some damn buttons. But you got to have that capital, initial capital base to do that. You ain't got no 50, 60,000. You ain't got no 50, 60,000 dollars. But look, you say you're gonna get a loan to buy a house. House costs 300,000. Well, why don't you live with your parents if you got good credit? As a young person, why instead of buying a now you want to get a house, you don't want to get into. I don't really mess with real estate because what if I don't nobody want to buy the house? People blackball you. You got 5 and 6 houses. We just gonna blackball you and let you sit with them houses and you paying rent, not rent. You paying taxes on them houses. We bleed you out. You got to go 100 years at least. Keep passing them houses down to your family. But until after that 100th year, when all them people that hate you and then blackballed you, when they die, and then that one cousin, let me get them houses. Right? But you had to keep it for 100 years. And then they was killing you with the taxes every year. So that's why I don't really mess with real estate. But instead of getting the first house for you and your wife and children, you only need one house for yourself. That's to avoid rent. Don't get the $300,000 loan. You want to save up to buy the house cash. But you got good credit. You get the $300,000 loan for a business, and your business is you gonna flip stock options. And you make if you got $300,000, they give you a margin, brothers and sisters. Like I'm trying to tell you. They got something called margin. Like getting credit, getting somebody to loan you $1,000 is very difficult. It's just $1,000. Damn, I could take my shirt off and run around naked and ask for donations and pay you back $1,000. Right? They could do a 5-year loan, 2% interest, $10 a month. It could be $10 a week. I'll pay you back $1,000. No, you can't get denied. But if you open up a stock account, they're going to give you margin. That means whatever you put in, it got to be over a certain amount, which is $2,000. But always remember, they gave you the stimulus. They gave you $3,000 for COVID. So that means you open up a stock account with $3,000. You qualify for margin. It's over $2,000. They give you $3,000 on top of that. NVIDIA, I told you I seen NVIDIA. We ain't even got to talk about NVIDIA. I seen Adobe, right? We was crushing Adobe. Adobe was at $420. They give you $6,000. Well, first of all, you got to have the $3,000. You ain't got no $3,000 from slavery. Now, as a young person, you living with your parents, you in high school, go to work. Work at McDonald's. Study, work. Cut the clubs, the music, cut all that off. Save up $3,000, you're not paying no rent or nothing. Or, right, come up with a newspaper. After school, stand right there, all the students, look, 50 cents, give me for some information. Save that. Where you gonna get $3,000 from? I want to know crime and drugs? Then you get locked up. Stock options ain't got locked up. Still right here. So look, right? They gave you $3,000 COVID. You open up a stock account, they're going to give you $3,000 on the $3,000. It ain't no credit check, it's just you got $3,000 in with them, here go $3,000 margin account. That's how that worked. I seen that way back when I used to mess with stocks. So you got $6,000. Adobe was at $420. NVIDIA was at $380. I got in with NVIDIA. I finally got in because I seen they would make, NVIDIA would go up $100. Like it won't nothing. I caught NVIDIA one time, we was in the four, actually it was right here, it was in the 400s. I remember we had NVIDIA at 400. It went up, this is when I really started listening, because we had talked about diversify, right? We ain't finished that, we're gonna get to that story though, right? NVIDIA was at I caught it at 400. It went up to like, it went up to like 460. I remember one time, I think I might have had like 10 in video. Did I have like 10? I don't know, right? Now that's not a lot of money, but I think with the margin, with the margin and with what I had, right? I think I might have had like 4 in video. No, I think I might have. Did I have 10? Did I ever have 10 in video? Somehow I had a lot of NVIDIA, right? But look, Dr. Watkins say don't sell, right? So you be listening to him. Listen what the Bible say, right? The Bible say there are some things that make you wealthy, but in the long term it leaves you poor. This is in the book of Proverbs. And then God say there are some things that make you poor, but in the long term, it makes you wealthy. So whenever you listen to Dr. Watkins, right? Dr. Watkins say don't sell. I can only imagine like the things that he probably be going through, right? Because if you talking about you go through one of them crashes, so Dr. Watkins say don't sell, right? So in listening to him, right? But I was flipped, like we wasn't flipping so you understand it's not a casino. Now you can flip thousands, but when I say flipping, we might make 100. We flipping $10 and $20. Like I got to pay a bill. Yeah, we didn't flip that $20. We got that. Okay, but I had never got to a point where it was like I'm in the stock market investing, right? Like that $200 and $300. Well, I'm gonna give you this good one too, right? We got this one Joan. Oh, you could have made so much finance. I mean, like when the brothers say a ton of cash, the stock market is not a casino. Invest smart. Invest wisely. Invest wisely. Now we got this joint called APLS. APLS, they stock look like this, right? So it's a characteristic pattern. Right now, the brothers say the past activity of the stock don't define the future activity. You talking about what's going to happen now. Well, you seen it went up, then it go down. It went up, then it go down, right? But this is a very distinct pattern, where this is actually the characteristic of this stock. And right now, we was about the cake. Oh, I had, listen, this was affordable too. It was up here, right? Dr. Watkins say, look at this stock right here, what you want to do with it? Yo, it dropped down to $20. And then it went right back up. Oh, then they was trying to, it was right here, right? We was up about 400. I hadn't sold it, but I have, like, when you look at your thing, that don't say plus 400. It be green, right? So I woke up. It wasn't even a whole lot of money, but I had made 400 because I had caught it. Actually, I had lost so much. Then I started buying it right here, and then I met. This was a learning process, because I could have, if I like the knowledge I had now, I still would never put in. Like again, stock market is not a casino, but it's what you can do. Let me say this right. See, the stock market is a two-edged sword. Even if you make money, say you make $200 right here. You caught it right here, was at $2. You had 100 shares. It went up to $4. All the time it does that. But that's a misnomer. All the time it does that, but you wasn't in on the party, right? You trying to get in on the party. We call that probability. We're going to learn it. This is all numbers. Now, I don't know, like, I don't know, because listen now, this is where is the money? Like, ask yourself, where is the money? Well, the money's on the stock market. Okay, so I got a couple of points up here, but the stock market is a two-edged sword, and what I mean by that is that, again, you're going to get sick. That's why it's real good to get young children into farming, because the young child, they'll lose a plant. We be attached. So they'll grow a plant. Like I done lost avocado trees. I got this one apple tree, right? It's been growing for about 5 years. I call him little brother. And little brother was growing. Little brother got to a certain height. And then this past summer, I think he died, right? Because it just got so hot, right? You know, the roots, if the roots ain't in the ground a certain way, the heat, and little brother died. I had a big ass avocado tree. He died. I had to move him, and once you plant it, like you can't, unless you got a crane where you can dig up the entire, I thought I could do it with a shovel, right? But my brother was tall, and nah, the shovel ain't work, so I tried to replant it, and he died. So when you farm, that introduces children to a loss. I remember Bill Cosby, remember the time, the Bill Cosby show, him and Rudy lost that goldfish, right? So she was sad to a certain point. Then so little children learn these things, right? So with the stock market, it's a two-edged sword because if it go down, shit, I remember I was in a hole, I might have been in a hole $5,000. You'll get like, we ain't got no money. So you'll lose, but you don't sell it. You just got to keep it, right? The only thing with a stock going down is that if you sell it, like you done lost, say you lose $200 on what you invested. Say you invested $1,800. You lose $200. Now, realistically, always remember the brothers say the stock market has never went, in the history of the stock market, the American stock market, it has never went down where it did not go back up past what it went. So you'll lose 200 where now it's 600. Now if you sell it, that's called a realized gain. You done lost that 200. But if you can keep it, you know it's going to go up, you just don't know when. But the problem is, it's still 1,600. And you can't flip, like if you ain't got no money, like right now we ain't got no money. So we can't really like, a stock that's good, instead of putting your money in a bank and getting like, what they, 0.05, like look at what the bank telling you. Now, again, you gotta look at their argument. So if you ain't gonna keep it in the bank, as black people, right? If you ain't gonna keep it in the bank, where you gonna keep it? In your house? So that's the argument, like that's why we have to be respectful. But real deal, you done 400 years. But the bank gonna give you 0.05 interest. No, you take that money, you put it on Amazon.com or Apple or Coca-Cola. These are stocks, they're not gonna go up, I mean like crazy, but over time, they're gonna go up. So you might make $2 over 10 years every day. So that's how that works. So it's more for, it's like these stocks right here is more for people that got a lot of money, right? It's just people with a lot of money, right? But the whole thing is that if you can't let your money sit, because look, you done lost 200. If you sell it, you done lost $200. That's a realized gain. So you let it sit, it's gonna go way up past whatever price you brought it at. No, you're gonna end up with like $3,000. But how long you got to wait for that? So look, the whole time, this stock might sit here for a year. At this price, it might continue to drop. But the whole thing is you still got $1,600. So you're trying to flip that. But you can't mess with it, because if you sell it, you done lost 200 now. Always understand you got a total somewhere. So you done lost 200, it's now at 1,600, but you need that 1,600 because look, something might come up over here. Oh, if I get this, now you can get this, put it here and flip it and make over that 200, but the brother say, look, don't chase the stock market. No, you lose 200, you talking about you're gonna flip it here and you go down, you done lost again. With the one I told you, IMRX, it was at $6. I didn't lose, but I went down like 100. Right? I had lost that, but I can't, because if you move it, you'll lose it, but you want to flip it. Right? So it's not that you done lost 200, it's that you still got money that you can work But if you move it, you will lose that money that you done already lost as an unrealized gain. Okay, so that's real quick, right? But to try to finish up with APLS, they had a situation in Europe, and Europe said no. Europe said, we is not going to let you come in this country with your product. Okay, so what I want to do is, they pose to cut interest rates, right? So let me put it up here. Stock analysis.com. Now let's see what this dude, what's Mr. Powell? Let's see what Mr. Powell and them talking about. Let's see what they talking about, right? I would have a party like, this is a lecture. So normally I would just have a party like, what I'm saying, how we would do it. We would vegan it up. And probably have some fried chicken or something, right? It'd be so fast how they be freaking this thing, right? That mental abuse. That Negro, you a Negro. Normally it'd be like, we come right there, right? But now when it's something for us to progress, slow as hell, right? Why is that? But yo, we can't even get on the thing. This is a military area. It probably don't even matter, right? Once they got your frequency, right, you know what I'm saying? They can block you or do whatever they want to do to your thing. So let's try it again. Okay. So if we go to news, you go to stockanalysis.com, Dow leaps to all-time high. Ooh, they cut about half a point. Ooh. Now you see me laugh and smile, right? I'm not laughing because I'm in that situation. I like that situation. Like that gives, like what if that was us doing? I remember one time the Dollar Tree brought Family Dollar, and I just like that. Right? God show you necessarily stocks race to record highs. Okay, since we're talking about, let's see what Adobe is right now. Now, I don't mess with Adobe right now again because it costs too much, but I like that company. Let's see if they jumped and went up, right? Hold on one second. No, they didn't go up. They went down $5 more, right? So remember I had put APLS. I still mess with them. Now I got more messing with Dr. Watkins. I ain't all in, but that's a good company necessarily because they're talking about improving eye vision, and they have a lot of. If you look at what their potential with that finance, they pretty good. So let's see what they do. What have they done? It's called Apellis. Okay, they still kind of low, but they went up $1.46. So if they cut interest rates, what stock? Let me see my little dollar stocks. Let's look at some dollar stocks, right? No. Well, let's look at a firm. A firm is another good. Well, I only mess with a firm because he said buy a firm. Ooh, a firm went up $1.23. This is a very good company too, right? But like we getting in late. We're gonna talk about that too. That's really what it is. How a lot of like it's not necessarily the last of what we're supposed to learn, but you learn along the way. You make mistakes. You lose money when you make mistakes. You learn along the way. You learn along making mistakes. And then I think the last thing we probably had to learn before you start getting into like the technicals is how to actually buy stock. Like We buying stock, like even though, look now, the stock costs $3 right here. It might cost $12 right here. This could be $20, however you look at it. Always understand now, you got stock that's way up here. So it, depending on what type of area you're in, it's realistic the stock gonna go up right here. So you buy it right here, yeah, you can make money right here, but what's gonna happen is that, no. No, so that's gonna be, this is probably right here gonna be the last thing that we learn that's gonna really get you going where you just need a capital base. You need you $100,000. Well, since they didn't cut interest rates, you can get the people gonna give you $100,000 now for a nice price. And you get on stock options. Now I don't know, I ain't know, to do stock options, you just gotta have that grip. What if you was just making $5,000 a month? You know how much money that is? Okay, so let's look again. Okay, let's look at APP. APP crushing it. We're gonna look at MU. No. Okay, so what stock? Okay, let's look at AMD. Now things take time too, right? No. Let's look at ZS. No. Okay, let's look at SVV. Nah, not really, right? Okay, so why they saying that they're down? Let me see something. They cut that thing by half a point, though. Okay, it's about to go up. So yeah, like it's a lot of confusion sometimes because there's so much going on. But you got like a pharmaceutical company, and pharmaceutical companies like my brother, right? He called this one. I wasn't in on it, but I looked at the graph of it, right? No, was it Madrid Pharmaceuticals? Now this brother called this. I mean, he ain't called it like, you know, he called it, but if you listening to him, like you can listen to him social media, and then if you start taking his classes, now his classes cost now. Like this brother, Dr. Boyce Watkins, the black business school, that's not no, that's what it is. And you got to really now he make it affordable, but again, okay, so if you go to Madrid Pharmaceuticals, let's look at their graph, right? Now, at one time, like if you take his class, sometimes he'll give you some good, like he done gave me a whole bunch of good. You got APLD, everything, listen, he give you a whole bunch of good. APLD, we got Riot, he show you all the time how to freak marathon, you got to have that cash though. What is it, APLD, Riot, we did APLS. APLS then kind of lost a little bit because of what happened in Europe. REPL, I missed out just REPL, ANVS, TP, I call it TPST. TPST was the only company I would say where I kind of made some money. It was like, or I'm gonna say it would, because I only brought 10, off of 10 shares, I might have made like $300. Like, it went from $2. No. It went from $2 to like $10. But I was kind of like, when you see a stock, listen what I'm trying to tell you. When you see a stock at $7, I'm gonna tell you what I was doing, and then we're gonna close it up. You got these stocks, right? They be, well, my brother don't like the stocks. He call them, they're not all penny stocks, but they be stocks that cost like $1, $2. So what would happen, right? What I was noticing, I would notice that, like they got pre-market, then they got the market. The stock market open up at 9 o'clock a.m., but you can start trading, buying and selling at 7 o'clock a.m. That's called pre-market. Then you can do it at 4, stock market close at 4 o'clock p.m. And then the pre-market, the aftermarket close at 8 o'clock p.m. Then they got something called night trading. So again, brothers and sisters, people getting money. So what I seen was that a company would come out with a report, and based on what that report said, the price would shoot up like $8 or $9. I remember Viking. Oh, Viking went from $27 to $88. They had came out with a generic, Eli Lilly got the diabetes weight loss drug. Vikings came out with a generic drug that does that. Oh, that was so phenomenal that I had missed the first couple of minutes. It had went to $38. I was like, should I buy it? I was like, no, they missed $10 on it, right? It went up to $88. This happens all the time. But I done seen stock just, them people were sick. But I say that because they got reports. Like if you get on with PR business, it's certain newspapers, it's just a couple of them. PR News, where they the ones that be press releasing the information, right? So once the information get out, people be like, oh, they just came out with something. Yo, that thing. So I was trying to, you ain't really got no window, but you got like a 2-minute window where you can buy that stock and you'll make some money, right? But no, I end up, I don't really have the time to get into all of that, right? But no, I stopped that. And the reason why I say that is because I remember I said IMRX, right? IMRX, I got one more. These are the last two when I was at that age doing that, right? These was the last two I had to keep because I had lost I ain't gonna say lost so much money because I ain't never go all in, like I ain't stupid. But I might buy 50 shares, right? And that thing just dropped. IMRX had me about 300 for a long time. Like it was at $7. I'm gonna tell you how they freaking. These are smart investors. I still don't know how that worked, right? But it was at $5. Say I bought 100 shares, that's just $500. Especially if you got $1,000, that's just $500, right? So I brought it at $5, right? This is what happens, right? So it'll go up. So you're like, yeah, that thing. Like the report that came out, like you done missed the report. And then we ain't never caught it, like to catch it right here before it come out. That's why you got to own the stock. It's the best way to do it. But you catch it come out, then you got like 2 minutes where you see the report. So you on the news things where they coming out with the news, right? So you right there looking at the reports. So the time you see it to the time it come right here, right? So I'm trying to understand like this part right here, like how is they getting the reports and then they go up, right? So we wasn't at that time, right? So we was catching it here. So I got like so I buy it at $5, right? I look at how far it went up. So it might have went up already 10 cents. It's getting ready though. It might go up to $6. But this is the part with the two-edged sword. Say you sell it at $6, right? You're like, okay, I made $100, however many shares you buy. And then it keep going up to about 15. You know how sick you be? You know how sick you be? You buy 100 shares, it be $4, you got 100 shares. You got 100 shares, oh, God blessed you. God blessed you with 100 shares at $4, that's just $400. And then it go up to $8. And you was in there, you was on it. So you make $400. No, you got 100 shares, that's, $400 in less than a minute. So then you sell it, right? So you like, yeah, what? I'm good, I made $400. But you sold it at $8, right? So bye-bye. And then look, you talking about 9:30 a.m. at 10 o'clock. It's at $8. But the stock market don't close till 4 o'clock. So you done sold it, right? You're trying to forget about it. Yeah, we good, what? And then it go up to about $16. You know how sick you be? And then the brother say, keep it. That's the real, that's not a hustle. That's like the real game. Well, it ain't a game. That's the real creating of wealth when you just keep it. But you got to have money to keep it. Like if that's all you got, you can't just forget about that. Right? That's why diversification is good. That's why really you ain't gonna never have 100 shares at $4, but you might have 2 shares. Right? So then if you got 2 shares, that's just $8. So you don't really care what it do. So it go from $4 to $300. See, that's the game. But you only had 2 shares. That's because of slavery. These people that got the slave file, they got 1 million shares. Because they got $500 and $600 billion. But let's understand, it was at $4 at 9:30. You had 100 shares. It went up to $8. So you cash out. You made $400. Shit, that's good. What? Your rent, everything paid, you good. So you feeling good. Then you just might, well, let me see what it's doing now. Because you wanted to go back down so you'll feel great. You know, it's like you don't want to wish no bad on the company, but no, you want to make like, you know what you're doing. Shit, you sold it at $8. That felt good. Then it go back down to $3. That's really what you want, so you can buy it again if it's a good company. No, what if it don't do that? What if it go up to $16? So you had 100 shares at $4. You sold it at $800. So now you got $400 in your pocket. But it went up to $16, and that's what it is. So you got 100. So now that's $1,600. So yeah, you made $400. You feeling good, but you lost $800. You feeling bad, and you only got $400. And your people ain't got nothing. So you feeling real bad. But you made $400. Compared to what if it's at $4, you buy 100 shares, and it go down to 30 cents. Compared to what if you, $4, you just, well, I don't think, because if you ain't got no money, you ain't gonna never just suck it up and let it sit. That's that two-edged sword. Audu, Belayet, Menesh, Shaya, Tina,